The Kecksburg UFO crash, Pennsylvania's Roswell incident, an acorn-shaped craft covered in hieroglyphics descended into Pennsylvania woods. The military removed it. Then NASA lost the files. Late on the evening of December 9, 1965, the sky above 6 American states and Ontario, Canada ignites with celestial fire. Thousands of witnesses observe a massive fireball streaking across the darkening horizon, its luminous trail visible for hundreds of miles. The object descends steadily, and as it approaches the Earth, something extraordinary occurs. The fireball slows, it changes course. This behavior defies the physics of meteoric descent. Conventional space debris follows a predictable ballistic trajectory, burning up in atmospheric friction or impacting at terminal velocity. This object does neither. Military radar installations track the anomalous descent. Calculation of the trajectory from multiple observation points confirms what visual witnesses report. The object executes a controlled deceleration and course alteration inconsistent with natural phenomena. The fireball disappears below the tree line near Kecksburg, a small rural community in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. Local residents hear what sounds like an impact in the woods beyond the town limits. Reports flood emergency services, describing a possible plane crash. Volunteer firefighters from the Kecksburg Fire Department respond immediately to what they assume will be a civilian aircraft emergency. Jim Romansky and several other firefighters reach the wooded impact site before military personnel establish a perimeter. What they discover in a small clearing changes their understanding of what has descended from the sky. Partially embedded in the forest floor rests an object approximately the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. Its shape resembles a large acorn or bell, constructed of metallic material that reflects the beams from the firefighters' flashlights. The surface appears seamless, without rivets or welding marks. Around the base of the object runs a raised band bearing symbols that none of the witnesses recognize. Multiple firefighters describe these markings as resembling Egyptian hieroglyphics, though none can decipher their meaning. The object bears no identification numbers, no national insignia, no indication of terrestrial manufacture. The firefighters attempt to approach closer, but the arrival of military vehicles transforms the scene. U.S. Army personnel establish a cordon around the landing site with immediate authority. Civilians who have entered the woods receive orders to evacuate the area. The tone of these orders leaves no room for negotiation. Witnesses later report the military response exhibits characteristics of a planned retrieval operation rather than an emergency investigation. The personnel arrive equipped with specialized equipment, flatbed transport, and materials for securing and concealing cargo. John Murphy, a local radio broadcaster, drives to the scene with recording equipment and a camera. Murphy reaches the site before military lockdown becomes absolute and succeeds in photographing and recording audio of the object. His professional instinct recognizes the magnitude of the event unfolding in the Pennsylvania woods. Before Murphy can leave the area, military personnel intercept him. They confiscate his recordings and photographic materials. The warning they deliver carries explicit weight. Murphy must not broadcast what he has witnessed. The confrontation fundamentally alters Murphy's demeanor. Colleagues later report that Murphy, previously an outgoing and assertive journalist, becomes withdrawn and reluctant to discuss the Kecksburg incident. He makes oblique references to threats, but never fully discloses the content of his interaction with military personnel. Several years after the Kecksburg event, Murphy perishes in a hit-and-run accident. The circumstances surrounding his passing raise questions among some researchers, though no definitive connection to the Kecksburg case is ever established. As darkness deepens over the Pennsylvania woods, military personnel work methodically to remove the object from its resting place. Witnesses positioned outside the expanded military perimeter observe the removal operation. A large flatbed truck reverses into the cordoned area. Personnel work for hours to extract the object from the ground and secure it to the transport vehicle. A heavy tarpaulin covers the cargo, concealing its shape. The convoy departs Kecksburg late on the night of December 9, traveling under military escort. Multiple civilian witnesses observed the truck on local roads, noting its unusual cargo and the security surrounding its transport. The destination of the removed object remains officially unconfirmed. Researchers investigating crash retrieval patterns propose Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio as the likely facility, consistent with the documented protocol for recovery of unknown aerial objects. Wright-Patterson houses Foreign Technology Division facilities and has appeared repeatedly in witness testimony related to other alleged retrieval operations, including Roswell. The base maintains secure storage and analysis capabilities for materials requiring classification at the highest levels. Official response to the Kecksburg incident follows a familiar pattern. The U.S. Army issues statements denying that any object was recovered from the woods near Kecksburg. Official explanations suggest the fireball observed across multiple states was a meteor that burned up completely before impact, leaving no recoverable material. This explanation contradicts the documented testimony of firefighters, military witnesses, and civilian observers who watched personnel remove a large object from the impact site. The case enters a period of official silence that extends for decades. Witnesses who attempt to discuss their observations publicly face social pressure and, in some cases, direct intimidation. The pattern of evidence confiscation, witness suppression, and official denial establishes Kecksburg as a textbook example of crash retrieval protocol. Stan Gordon, a Pennsylvania UFO researcher, begins investigating the Kecksburg case in the years following the incident. Gordon conducts extensive witness interviews, documenting testimony from firefighters, military personnel, and civilian observers. His investigation spans more than 5 decades, making the Kecksburg case one of the most thoroughly documented UFO incidents in American history. Gordon's work preserves witness accounts that might otherwise have been lost to time and establishes a detailed timeline of the events of December 9, 1965. In the 1990s, NBC News conducts its own investigation into Kecksburg, interviewing witnesses and examining documentary evidence. The NBC investigation confirms that multiple credible witnesses observed the military removal of an object from the Kecksburg woods. The network's reporting brings renewed attention to the case and places pressure on government agencies to release documentation. The most significant development occurs in the mid-2000s when the Sci-Fi Channel, now known as Sci-Fi, funds a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit targeting NASA. The legal action seeks release of all NASA documentation related to the Kecksburg incident. The lawsuit reveals a critical piece of information that validates decades of witness testimony. NASA releases records confirming that the agency received Air Force case files related to Kecksburg. However, NASA reports that the documents themselves are missing from the archive. The files existed, they were processed and stored. Then they disappeared. A NASA spokesperson publicly confirms that documents related to Kecksburg had been received and subsequently lost. This admission represents the first official acknowledgement that NASA investigated the Kecksburg case, directly contradicting decades of official statements that nothing had been recovered. The confirmed loss of investigative files establishes a documentary trail linking NASA, a civilian space agency, to a crash retrieval operation. This connection elevates Kecksburg beyond the realm of military UFO incidents and suggests the object recovered possessed characteristics requiring specialized aerospace analysis. The evidential strength of the Kecksburg case rests on multiple pillars. The fireball's trajectory, calculated from radar tracking and visual observations across 6 states and Ontario, demonstrates controlled flight characteristics inconsistent with meteoric descent. Multiple independent witnesses, including trained firefighters and military personnel, describe an acorn-shaped metallic object bearing unknown symbols. The documented military removal of a large object from the impact site contradicts official denials. NASA's admission that case files existed and were lost provides institutional confirmation of the event's significance. The physical description of the object, an acorn or bell shape with a band of hieroglyphic symbols, matches no conventional aircraft, spacecraft, or missile design from 1965. The seamless metallic construction and unknown writing system suggest technology beyond contemporary human capability. The military response, characterized by immediate site lockdown, witness intimidation, and rapid removal of the object, follows patterns documented at other alleged crash retrieval sites. Researchers examining the Kecksburg case note its structural similarity to the Roswell incident of 1947. Both cases feature official denials contradicted by multiple military and civilian witnesses. Both involve rapid military response and removal of recovered materials. Both include patterns of witness intimidation and evidence confiscation. Kecksburg adds the element of confirmed NASA involvement and the documented destruction or loss of investigative files, providing a direct institutional link between civilian space agencies and crash retrieval operations. The landing site in the Kecksburg Woods was examined by investigators in subsequent years. After military processing of the area, no physical trace evidence remains. The ground shows no radiation signature, no metallurgical fragments, no physical indication that an object of substantial mass impacted and embedded in the soil. The thoroughness of site sanitization suggests a recovery operation conducted with expertise and resources, indicating prior experience with similar events. Jim Romansky and other firefighter witnesses have testified consistently about their observations for decades. Their accounts remain unchanged across multiple documented interviews spanning 50 years. This consistency strengthens the evidential value of their testimony and counters arguments that witness accounts evolve or become embellished over time. The witnesses describe what they saw with specificity and detail, maintaining their positions despite social pressure and official contradiction. The Kecksburg incident represents a nexus where multiple forms of evidence converge. Radar tracking data, visual observations across a wide geographic area, physical witness testimony of a recovered object, documented military removal, and institutional acknowledgement through NASA's admission of lost files. Few UFO cases combine such diverse and mutually supporting forms of documentation. The case resists dismissal through conventional explanation because each element of evidence reinforces the others, creating a cohesive narrative that official denial cannot adequately address. The fate of the object removed from the Kecksburg Woods on December 9, 1965 remains unknown. Whether it rests in secure storage at Wright-Patterson or another classified facility, whether it was transporting elsewhere for analysis, or whether it was destroyed remains a matter of speculation. What cannot be reasonably disputed is that something descended into those Pennsylvania woods, something substantial enough to require military transport, something significant enough to justify decades of official denial, and something important enough that NASA received and then lost the files documenting its investigation. If you found this case compelling, subscribe to Vanishing Roads for more documented paranormal investigations from around the world. This story was created with AI assistance based on documented case files. All events reference real investigations and reported incidents.